He just lifted the Australian Open trophy, and now we're already asking whether Carlos Alcaraz should pull out of a tournament. 12 straight wins, 2 titles, a Grand Slam completed, and somehow, the biggest question surrounding the most explosive player in tennis right now isn't about how unstoppable he looks, it's about whether he needs to stop. Because here's the reality. Nobody wants to say out loud, this might be the most dangerous stretch of Alcaraz's season. At just 22 years old, Carlos Alcaraz has already done something historic. By defeating Novak Djokovic in the Australian Open final, he completed the full set of Grand Slam titles. Hard courts, conquered, grass, dominated, clay, owned. The career Grand Slam box checked. And he didn't just win in Melbourne, he made a statement. Beating Djokovic in a slam final is never just a win, it's a declaration, it's a message to the locker room. And for Alcaraz, it felt like the official confirmation that this is now his era. But dominance comes at a cost. After Melbourne, he made a decision that quietly told us something important. He withdrew from Rotterdam. No dramatic press conference, no controversy, just a simple step back. Then he went to Doha and won the Qatar Open, beating Arthur Fils in the final. Another trophy, another reminder that when Alcaraz steps on court healthy, the rest of the tour is in trouble. 12 consecutive matches, 0 hesitation, total authority. So, why are we even talking about fatigue? Because tennis seasons are not won in January or February, they are survived. And the next chapter, the sunshine swing and the brutal clay marathon, might test him more than any opponent. Let's look at what's ahead. Indian Wells, Miami, Monte-Carlo, Barcelona, Madrid, Rome, then Roland Garros. That's not a schedule. That's a gauntlet. Indian Wells and Miami alone are physically punishing. Slow, hard courts, long rallies, dry air, heavy balls. By the time players leave Florida, their bodies already feel like they've been through a mini-war. And then what happens? They switch surfaces immediately. Clay isn't just slower. It's heavier on the legs. It demands longer points. It forces sliding, lunging, grinding rallies. It stretches muscles in ways hard courts simply don't. And this is where the real question begins. Should Carlos Alcaraz skip Monte-Carlo if his body starts whispering warning signs? Now here's the twist that makes this complicated. Monte-Carlo is technically non-mandatory. That gives him flexibility. You wouldn't face penalties for skipping it, but there's a catch. He's the defending champion. That's 1,000 ranking points on the line. One decision could mean sacrificing a Masters 1,000 title defense, and that's not small. In today's ATP landscape, 1,000 points can decide year-end rankings. It can decide seeding. It can decide who you avoid in slam semifinals. But let me ask you something. Would you trade 1,000 points for a third straight French Open title? Because that's what this really comes down to. Alcaraz is chasing something rare. 3 consecutive titles at Roland Garros would elevate him into a different historical tier. It would solidify clay as his kingdom. And here's the part that makes this even more dramatic. There's another storyline building in the background. Jannik Sinner. If Sinner manages to win the French Open, he completes his own career Grand Slam. That's not speculation, that's a real possibility. So now imagine this scenario. Alcaraz arrives in Paris slightly fatigued because he pushed through Monte-Carlo, Barcelona, Madrid, and Rome. His legs are heavy. His explosiveness is just 5% lower. His recovery between 5-set matches isn't perfect, and across the net, a fully fresh, laser-focused Sinner trying to complete tennis immortality. That's not just another slam final, that's history colliding. This is why scheduling matters more than ego. Alcaraz has already shown he's willing to skip events when necessary. He missed the last 2 Canadian Opens, citing fatigue and small muscle issues. Those were mandatory Masters events, and he didn't hesitate. Yes, it cost him bonus pool money. Yes, it cost him ranking points, but it preserved his body. And if there's one thing we've learned from the Big Three era from Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic, it's this: longevity beats short-term glory. Roger Federer extended his career by picking his schedule carefully. Rafael Nadal often skipped events to protect his body before clay majors. Novak Djokovic has built his modern dominance on precision scheduling. Alcaraz is at that crossroads now. Does he chase every trophy because he can? Or does he think like a long-term legend? Here's something people overlook. Alcaraz plays an extremely physical brand of tennis. His explosive sprints, drop shots, defensive slides, sudden direction changes. It's breathtaking, but it's also demanding. He doesn't win points casually, he wins them violently, and over 7 consecutive events that adds up. The clay swing is especially ruthless. Monte-Carlo is at altitude near the sea. Barcelona is emotional. It's home. Madrid is high altitude, faster clay. Rome is slow and heavy. Each tournament has different conditions, forcing micro-adjustments in movement and timing. That's not just physical stress, that's neurological stress. Now imagine winning deep runs in all of them. It sounds heroic. It sounds dominant. It sounds like what a world number one should do, but history tells us something uncomfortable. The French Open is often won by the player who peaks in Paris, not the one who peaked in April. So here's the controversial take. If Carlos Alcaraz feels even slight fatigue after Miami, Monte-Carlo should be the first sacrifice. Yes, he would lose 1,000 points. Yes, critics would question it. Yes, headlines would scream about surrendering his title, but you know what would silence every critic? Holding the Coupe de Mousquetaire again in June, and here's another layer to this story. Pressure. Alcaraz is no longer the hunter. He's the standard. Every opponent now circles his name. Every match is treated like a final. The energy required to defend titles is different from winning them the first time. Last year he was climbing. This year, he's protecting. That psychological shift drains you. We also have to acknowledge something important. This is not an injury panic narrative. There is no confirmed injury. There is no official problem. This is strategic speculation based on workload. And that's why this conversation matters now, not after something goes wrong. Because if fatigue hits during Madrid or Rome, it might already be too late. The margins at Roland Garros are razor thin. One sluggish recovery day, one slightly delayed reaction on a sliding backhand, one 5-set semi-final where the legs don't respond. That's all it takes. And let's not pretend the competition is light. Sinner is improving on clay every season. Djokovic is never irrelevant in Paris. Younger players like Arthur Fils are rising. The field is not standing still while Alcaraz dominates. So the smartest move might be the boldest one. Withdraw before the body forces you to. There's maturity in that decision. There's also risk. Because what if he skips Monte-Carlo and someone else goes on a run? What if Sinner grabs momentum there? What if rankings tighten? That's the chess match behind the scenes. This season could define the next 5 years of men's tennis. Alcaraz has momentum, he has confidence, he has the aura of inevitability right now, but greatness isn't built on emotion, it's built on discipline. The sunshine swing will tell us a lot. If he dominates Indian Wells and Miami again, the temptation to keep pushing will be strong. That's when his team becomes crucial. Does Juan Carlos Ferrero advise restraint? Does the inner circle prioritize Paris over pride? Because, make no mistake, a three-peat at Roland Garros would echo louder in history than defending Monte-Carlo. And here's my personal prediction. If Alcaraz wins either Indian Wells or Miami, but looks even slightly drained by the end, I believe he will seriously consider skipping Monte-Carlo. He has already proven he's not afraid to miss big events. And in the modern game, intelligent scheduling is not weakness, it's evolution. Now I want to flip this to you. If you were in Carlos Alcaraz's position, defending Monte-Carlo champion, riding a 12-match win streak, fresh off completing the career Grand Slam, would you risk 1,000 points to guarantee peak condition in Paris? Or would you back your fitness and go all in on every tournament? Because this isn't just about one event, this is about legacy management. This is about whether Alcaraz wants to win everything or win what matters most. And sometimes, hardest move in sports isn't stepping onto the court, it's choosing not to. The next few weeks will reveal how calculated this new era really is. And if we see a sudden withdrawal announcement before Monte-Carlo, don't panic. It might not be a setback. It might be a championship decision.